Hello everyone, welcome to the Deadtone podcast. This podcast covers the subject matter of paranormal phenomenon, the dark sides of history, and makes you even question the unknown. And today we are going to be talking about all the murders, the victims, the Defeo family, the Lutzes family. We're going to be getting into their stories, so take it away.
On November 13th, 1974, 6 members of the Defeo family were murdered in their home in Amityville, New York, in the United States. The sole surviving family member, 23-year-old Ronald Defeo Jr., first claimed that his parents and 4 siblings were targeted in a contract killing by the American Mafia, before confessing that he had committed the murders. Defeo was also found guilty of 6 counts of second-degree murder and was sentenced to 25 years to life. This case inspired the book and film versions of the Amityville horror.
Yup. Yeah, they made books about it.
And many movies.
Many movies. Very good movies. I like the first one. The first movie was good. Amazing.
Yeah, they made so many. Okay, so let's dive into what exactly happened on the night of November 13th, 1974. Ronald Defeo entered Henry's Bar in Amityville, Long Island, New York, and declared, "You gotta help me. I think my mother and father are shot." Defeo and a small group of people went to 112 Ocean Avenue, which was located near the bar, and found that Defeo's parents were dead inside the house. One of the group, Defeo's friend Joe Yeswit, had made an emergency call to the Amityville Police Department, who searched the house and found that 6 members of the family were dead in their beds. So here's the victims. So the victims were Ronald Jr.'s parents, Ronald Defeo Sr., who was 43, and Luis Defeo, who was also 43, and his 4 siblings, Dawn, who was 18, Allison, who was 13, Mark, who was 12, and John, who was 9. All of the victims had been shot with a .35 caliber level-action Marlin 336C rifle around 3 a.m. that day. The children had been killed by single shots, while the parents had each been shot twice. Physical evidence suggests that Luis Defeo and her daughter Allison were awake at the time of their deaths. According to Suffolk County Police, all of the victims were found face down in their bed. The Defeo family had occupied 112 Ocean Avenue since purchasing the house in 1965. The 6 victims were later buried in St. Charles Cemetery nearby in Farmingdale. Yeah, so let's get into, now that we talked about, their family and what exactly happened that night, and we described who exactly the victims are, let's get into a deeper topic about who exactly is this perpetrator and who is exactly Ronald Joseph Defeo Jr.
Yes.
So, yeah, let's get into it. He was also known as Butch, and he was born in Brooklyn, New York, and he was the eldest child of the family and its lone surviving member. He was taken to local police department for his own protection after suggesting to police officers at the scene of the crime that the killings had been carried out by Luis Fellini, whom he had described as a mob hitman. However, in an interview at the station exposed serious inconsistencies in his version of events. The following day, he confessed to carrying out the killings himself. Fellini, the alleged hitman, had an alibi proving that he was out of state at the time of the killings. Defeo then told detectives, "Once I started, I just couldn't stop. It went so fast." He admitted that he had taken a bath and changed his clothes, and detailed where he had discarded crucial evidence such as blood-stained clothes, the Marlin rifle, and cartridges before going to work as usual.
How are you going to cover that all up, though?
Yeah.
And also, it's weird because he also said that he was also drunk and that he had things in his mind telling him to do that. But clearly it feels like he already planned this out because he's taken a bath, he changed his clothes, he tried getting rid of the evidence. Like, really think that through. He knew what he was doing. It was no voices in his head. Yes, maybe he had a few drinks, but I don't think there's voices in his head telling him to do that. Do you think that? No. It was himself. He planned this all along, probably. Going through his mind, yeah.
Yeah, and there's just a lot of inconsistencies, as is stated, that he was trying to blame that a hitman was out to get him from the mob and things and like that, and after his family, and there was already faults in that story, so it's...
I mean, also, there was something wrong with him, too, so we'll dive into that right now, too.
Yeah, so let's get into his exact trial, which began on October 14th, 1975. He and his defense lawyer, William Weber, mounted an affirmative defense of insanity, with Defeo claiming that he had no memory of killing his family. The insanity plea was supported by the psychiatrist for the defense, Daniel Schwartz. The psychiatrist for the prosecution, Dr. Harold Zolan, maintained that although Defeo was a user of heroin and LSD, he had an antisocial personality disorder and was aware of his actions at the time of the crime. The trial's judge, Thomas Stark, declared that Defeo's crimes were the most heinous murders committed in Suffolk County since its founding. Yeah. So, on November 21st, 1975, Defeo was found guilty on 6 counts of second-degree murder. And then, on December 4th of 1975, Judge Stark sentenced Defeo to 6 sentences of 25 years to life. Defeo was held at the Sullivan Correctional Facility in the town of Fallsburg, New York, until his death in 2021, with all of his appeals and requests to the parole board being denied. Yeah.
It's crazy. 2021, too.
I know, 2021. Literally so recently.
4 years ago, right? That was not even 4 years ago.
5 years ago?
5 or 5? Yeah, 5 years ago. Huh?
5 years ago.
Yeah, that was actually really recent. He was alive, yeah.
No, yeah.
Crazy.
All 6 of the victims were found face down in their beds with no signs of a struggle. The police investigation concluded that the rifle had not been fitted with a sound suppressor and found no evidence of sedatives having been administered. Defeo claimed during his interrogation that he had drugged his family. Defeo had a volatile relationship with his father, but the motive for the killing remains unclear. He asked police what he had to do to collect on his father's life insurance, which prompted the prosecution to suggest at trial that his motive was to collect on the life insurance policies of his parents.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So was he after the life insurance of his parents?
Probably.
After his conviction, Defeo gave varying accounts of how the killings were carried out. In a 1986 interview for Newsday, Defeo claimed his sister Dawn killed their father, and then their distraught mother killed all of his siblings, apparently with a rifle, before he killed his mother. He stated that he took the blame because he was afraid to say anything negative about his mother to her father, Michael, and his father's uncle out of fear that they would kill him. His father's uncle was Peter Defeo. In this interview, Defeo also asserted he was married at the time of the murders to a woman named Geraldine Gates, with whom he was living in New Jersey, and that his mother phoned to ask him to return to Amityville to break up a fight between Dawn and their father. Subsequently, he drove to Amityville with Geraldine's brother, Richard Ramondo, who was with him at the time of the murders and could verify his entire story.
Ramado. He kept saying Ramado. It's not Ramado.
Ramondo.
Ramondo. There you go.
Got it. In 1990, Defeo filed a 440 motion, a proceeding to have his conviction vacated. In support of his motion, Defeo asserted that Dawn and an unknown assailant who fled the house before he could get a good look at him killed their parents, and Dawn subsequently killed their siblings. He said the only person he killed was Dawn. At that, it was by accident as they struggled over the rifle. Again, he asserted he was married to Geraldine and that her brother was with him at the time of the murders. An affidavit from Richard Ramondo was submitted to the court, and it was asserted that he could not be located to testify in person. Evidence was submitted to the court by the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office, suggesting that Richard Ramondo did not exist and that Geraldine Gates was living in upstate New York, married to someone else at the time of the murders. Oh, that's interesting too.
Interesting.
So they weren't even together.
No, they weren't.
Okay, so Geraldine Gates did not testify at his hearing because the authorities had already confronted her about the false claims. So overall, it just seems like every single person and every single thing that is mentioned, there's just a gap in it of like... It just ends up being not true. And it just seems like it's being like a series of events that everything that has popped up and that is brought up by him or just these opposing claims are just not holding up. So
yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's interesting to read about Because I've never really read the fine details of Amityville and how deep the Defeo family went and everything that really happened. Like, I've seen shows and movies and, like, depictions of what happened, but I've never actually read about it.
It's crazy when you read about it. I read about it a long time ago, and it's interesting and weird at the same time, and it's just confusing some of the parts also.
So in 1992, they had secured a statement under oath in which she admitted that Raimondo was fictitious and that she did not actually marry Defeo until 1989 in anticipation of the filing of the 440 motion. Judge Stark denied the motion, writing, "I find the testimony of the defendant overall to be a false and fabricated testimony that during the fall of 1974 he was married and lived with his wife and child at Long Branch, New Jersey, is incredible and not worthy of belief." He produced no corroborating evidence in this regard. Stark further declared defendant's testimony that he did not shoot and kill the members of his family is likewise incredible and not worthy of belief.
No, it's very interesting when you read deep into this. I mean, the most about this is just the book that they wrote, so I don't think we really need to get into that.
Yeah, I mean, we're just getting into the basis of what exactly happened of the course of event. But yeah, I mean, a lot of things were written about it after the fact, and there's a lot of interpretations on this event specifically, and just a lot of speculation overall.
And if you guys want, go check out that book and see what they wrote about in it. Probably very interesting. So we're going to show you guys a little video of his interview back in, I would say in the 2000s maybe, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to show you guys this little clip real quick.
I wouldn't want to face the parole board, but most importantly, I wouldn't want to face myself every morning in the mirror. I wouldn't want to face myself in the mirror. I might be able to explain to myself why I killed my father. I might be able to explain to myself why I killed my mother. I might be able to explain to myself why in a struggle I killed my older sister Dawn, but how? How do I ever explain to myself or come to make myself live with the fact that I killed 3 defenseless children?
First of all, you're wrong when you're saying about defenseless, because everybody in that house was defenseless. Only one person had access to a handgun, between my mother and father. He never got a chance to get it. She did. So everybody else was defenseless. As far as I'm concerned, really everybody was defenseless, because I got to them before they got to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. Just, I don't know, I got chills from that.
Yeah, it's weird watching him and like his mannerisms in those moments.
He know what he did, him saying all that stuff, him hiding the evidence, him taking a bath, him doing all of this. He knows what he was gonna do that night. He knows. Maybe he actually got a drink, So, he's like, you know what, I'm gonna have a little drink before I do this.
Right.
Because, maybe he wanted a drink, Maybe he wanted a drink before he did that, and then he knew what he was gonna do, and then he shot his entire family.
Yeah.
So maybe he just wanted to have that drink one last time because he knew he would get caught. You can't hide evidence like that. It's your whole family, It's crazy to think about it that way, but it's crazy. It's crazy.
Okay, so now that we talked about the overall basis of the Defeo family and what happened the night of the murder, the aftermath of the trial of Ronald Defeo, right?
Ronald Defeo. And yeah, we're going to go into the Lutzes now that moved in 28 days later from the murder. This. Yes, right after this, 28 days later. Same thing, 1975. 1975 when the murder happened. Literally just 28 days later. Crazy.
Yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah, so literally the murders happened in November 1975 and they moved in December of 1975.
That's strange. I find that very weird. It's kind of gross at the same time. You guys will see why it's kind of gross also, which we'll talk about in a bit. So let's get on with the little story.
Yeah, so in December of 1975, George and Kathy Lutz moved into the house with their 3 children and dog Harry. After 28 days, the Lutzes fled the house, claiming to have been terrorized by paranormal phenomena while living there. The events were first publicly reported in Newsday, a local newspaper, on February 14, 1976. According to the newspaper's report, some friends of the Lutzes confirmed that they had experienced strange phenomena which caused them to leave, while another said that they left because the house heating system had failed and they could not afford to repair it. So yeah, the Lutz family moved in on December 18th, 1975. Much of the Defeo family's furniture remained in the house and was included for $400 as part of the deal.
That's the disgusting part, because the Lutzes family literally had the same furniture that the family was killed on. They slept in it. They did all that stuff. They still had the same furniture, and it's so gross. Like, why didn't you just change it out? Because they still had the mattresses and everything, and they just slept on it. And I just find that very gross to even think about. Like, why couldn't they just, like, get a new mattress, you know, get a new bed set? Yes, it's a part of the deal, but get new ones. It's pretty gross. Why would you lay on that? A family was literally murdered in there. You would literally want to lay onto where they're, you know, they got shot, you know, you want to lay right there. That's pretty gross. Like, yeah, Jason, let's move into this house, you know, it has the included furniture that the family was murdered. I definitely want to lay on that bed. like what? Like, what was going on through their mind? They could have just got new furniture.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, it really is. So, a friend of George Lutz learned about the history of the house and insisted on having it blessed. So, at the time, George was a non-practicing Methodist and had no experience of what this would entail. Kathy was a non-practicing Catholic and explained the process. George knew a Catholic priest named Father Ray who agreed to carry out the house's blessing, Mancuso. Father Mancuso was a lawyer, judge of the Catholic court, and psychotherapist who lived at the local Sacred Heart Rectory. He arrived to perform the blessing while George and Kathy were unpacking their belongings on the afternoon of December 18th, 1975, and went into the building to carry out the rites. When he flicked the first holy water and began to pray, he heard a masculine voice demand that he, quote-unquote, get out. When leaving the house, Father Mancuso did not mention this incident to either George or Kathy. On December 24th, 1975, Father Mancuso called George Lutz and advised him to stay out of the second floor room where he had heard the mysterious voice, the former bedroom of Mark and John Matthew Defeo, that Kathy planned to use as a sewing room. But the call was cut short by static. Following his visit to the house, Father Mancuso allegedly developed a high fever and blisters on his hands similar to stigmata. At first, George and Kathy experienced nothing unusual in the house. Talking about their experiences subsequently, they reported that it was if they were each living in a different house.
It's crazy. And probably what they're feeling, we're going to show you guys this one little picture right here where you can literally see that there's a little boy right there peeking out from them from that room.
Oh, so that was exactly the room they were talking about,
I'm pretty sure, yes. But I'm pretty sure that is one of the little brothers that got shot in the house, because it does look like one of them. But as you know, it could always be a demonic presence. That's crazy because it's so clear and you can actually see it and you can see the white eyes looking at you. It's so weird seeing this picture.
Yeah, it is a strange picture. I've never seen a picture that clear.
So weird. Like, if you just zoom in and stuff, you'll zoom in on it. Yeah, it's crazy to even look at that. All right, let's get on.
By mid-January 1976, after another attempt at a house blessing by George and Kathy, they experienced what would turn out to be their final night in the house. The Lutzes declined to give a full account of the events that took place on this occasion, describing them as, quote-unquote, too frightening. After getting in touch with Father Mancuso, the Lutzes decided to take some belongings and stay at Kathy's mother's house in nearby Deer Park, New York, until they had sorted out the problems with the house. They claimed that the phenomena followed them there, with the final scene of Anson's book describing greenish-black slime coming up the staircase towards them. On January 14, 1976, George and Kathy Lutz, with their 3 children and their dog Harry, left 112 Ocean Avenue, leaving all of their possessions behind. The next day, a mover arrived to remove the possessions to send to the Lutzes. He reported no paranormal phenomena while inside the house.
It's crazy because, like, you know, after that whole murder and stuff, I feel like whatever, like, Ronald Defeo was talking about or anything like that all that negative energy that he had for killing his family, I feel like it went out of him to stay in the house, you know, because negative energy makes you like that. It makes things happen around you. And it's true. And that's probably what happened that day. And he left something in that house, very negative energy in there after doing all of that. Because, of course, yes, it's going to be negative in there because you killed your whole family, you know? Of course it's going to be negative, and of course there's going to be at least something in that house. So it's just crazy. It's crazy to talk about, think about, you know, what you think happened. You know, you have to just say what you think because you don't really know what happened that day. It's just...
No, yeah, it's really interesting. And then when it comes to the accounts of the Lutzes, they actually, when it came to the regards of the book that they actually made, they actually submitted around 45 hours of tape-recorded recollections to him were used as the basis of the book. So they gave they had a lot of tape recordings to actually give to the author to actually make a book about what happened at the Amityville house and the hauntings and everything that happened those nights. That one night, right? The one night that made them leave and everything. So, yeah, it's really
crazy. It's interesting. It's just, wow, you know.
Yeah, it's a wild story.
It gives me chills all the time, especially looking at their actual crime photos and everything. It's just sad, and it's like just goosebumps all over your body because they have actual photos of, like, you know, the family and stuff on there. And it's just chilling, you know? Because it's like, I don't know. It's hard to even describe. It is. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the end of the Amityville Horror House, so...
Thank you guys for listening, and stay tuned, and we will see you all in the next one.
Goodbye.
As far as I'm concerned, really everybody was affected. Because I got to them before they got to me.